What if the biggest names of Hollywood's golden age weren't quite what they seemed? Beneath the glamour, the sparkling red carpets, and the on-screen love stories, many of the era's most legendary stars had hidden lives full of intrigue. In an era where revealing one's sexuality could destroy a career, these actors had to go to great lengths to keep their true selves a secret. So be sure to drop a comment below and stick around until the end of the video. You might just unravel some of the hidden truths about your favorite stars. In an era when Hollywood rigorously upheld public image standards and any deviation from heterosexual norms was considered scandalous, George Nader's sexuality became the focus of intense speculation. The rumors were amplified by his close friendships with other male actors, particularly Rock Hudson, one of the most iconic stars of the 1950s and 1960s. Although the relationship between Nader and Hudson was always publicly described as platonic, their deep bond led many to draw their own conclusions, fueling the intrigue surrounding both actors' personal lives. This speculation only added layers to the mystery of their private worlds, as Hollywood remained largely unwilling to accept or acknowledge anything beyond the traditional heterosexual narrative. In a Hollywood that demanded strict conformity to carefully constructed public personas, relationships between two male stars were often met with suspicion. Despite the rumors and speculation surrounding him, George Nader never publicly disclosed his sexuality during his Hollywood career. The powerful studio system and its PR teams worked tirelessly to ensure that actors adhered to their crafted images, with any deviation, such as revealing a gay identity, posing a potential threat to an actor's career. For Nader, protecting his livelihood meant keeping his personal life private, navigating a system where conformity to heteronormative ideals was not just expected, but actively enforced. In the early 1970s, after more than a decade of steady work in Hollywood, George Nader decided to step away from acting and embrace a quieter life. He shifted his focus to writing and chose to live outside the public eye. During this time, Nader fully embraced his true identity, opting to live openly with his longtime partner, Mark Miller. The couple shared a loving and committed relationship that spanned over 55 years. Becoming a symbol of enduring love at a time when same-sex relationships were rarely acknowledged, let alone celebrated. Their bond stood as a quiet yet powerful testament to authenticity, resilience, and love in the face of the societal challenges of the era. For decades, Dick Sargent kept his sexuality private, much like many actors of his time. In an era when Hollywood saw coming out as gay as career suicide, the entertainment industry was dominated by a culture of silence surrounding LGBTQ+ issues. Celebrities with different sexual orientations faced considerable professional risks, as the industry largely ignored or suppressed non-heteronormative identities. Although persistent rumors about Sargent's personal life circulated, he largely managed to avoid tabloid scrutiny, maintaining a public-facing career without ever addressing or confirming speculations about his sexuality. His discretion reflected the challenges of navigating an industry and society that demanded conformity while stifling personal authenticity. However, in the early 1990s, Dick Sargent felt it was important to live authentically and use his platform to support causes he deeply cared about. In 1991, he made the courageous decision to publicly come out as gay in an interview with People magazine, openly declaring his sexuality. This moment marked a significant turning point, as coming out as LGBTQ+ was still rare in Hollywood at the time, and many actors feared such a revelation could jeopardize their careers. Sargent's decision to embrace his truth and advocate for greater acceptance was a bold move that helped pave the way for increased visibility and representation in the industry, breaking down barriers and encouraging others to follow suit. For Dick Sargent, coming out was a liberating moment. He explained that much of his life had been lived under the weight of secrecy, and publicly embracing his sexuality allowed him to take control of his own narrative. His decision also reflected a broader shift within the entertainment industry. While he was not the first actor to come out as gay, his choice was groundbreaking for a well-known television star, especially at a time when LGBTQ+ representation and acceptance in Hollywood were still in their early stages. Sargent's courage helped challenge prevailing stereotypes and open the door for more open, honest conversations about sexuality in the public sphere, contributing to the ongoing push for greater visibility and acceptance. In addition to coming out, Dick Sargent became a passionate advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, with a particular focus on raising awareness about the HIV/AIDS epidemic. In the early 1990s, the crisis was ravaging communities worldwide, and Sargent used his newly liberated platform to speak out and help raise funds for the cause. He participated in numerous fundraising campaigns and worked closely with organizations supporting individuals living with HIV/AIDS. This activism was deeply personal for Sargent, as he had witnessed firsthand the devastating impact the epidemic had on the gay community. His commitment to bringing attention to the issue highlighted the need for compassion, education, and advocacy during such a critical time in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Through his efforts, Sargent exemplified the power of using one's voice to make a tangible difference and contribute to a cause that affected so many. Rudolph Valentino, a cultural icon of the 1920s, captured the imaginations of millions as one of the most glamorous stars of the silent film era. Famously known as the Latin lover, Valentino embodied romance and passion in his iconic roles, such as in The Sheik and Blood and Sand. His captivating looks, intense gaze, and magnetic charm made him an international sensation, turning him into one of Hollywood's first true superstars. Valentino's ability to evoke deep emotion on screen helped define an entire era of cinema, cementing his place as a timeless symbol of passion and allure. However, behind Rudolph Valentino's cinematic charm, his personal life was marked by controversy and speculation, particularly regarding his sexuality. His first marriage to actress Jean Acker was brief and ended in turmoil on their wedding night. Reports suggest that Acker locked Valentino out of their hotel room, leaving him humiliated and alone, and the marriage was quickly annulled. This dramatic turn of events sparked questions about the true nature of their relationship and fueled rumors surrounding Valentino's sexuality. Acker, who later identified as a lesbian, went on to have a long-term relationship with another woman. Their short-lived marriage has since become a focal point in discussions of Valentino's private life, adding layers of mystery to his already enigmatic persona. Valentino's second marriage, to costume designer and actress Natasha Rambova, was similarly tumultuous. Their passionate but fraught relationship ultimately ended after a few years, with Rambova citing incompatibility and career conflicts as the main reasons for their separation. The collapse of both marriages, coupled with Valentino's close friendships and collaborations with male colleagues, only deepened the speculation surrounding his sexuality. These personal and professional dynamics kept the mystery of his private life alive, fueling ongoing intrigue and gossip in the public imagination. Despite his glamorous on-screen persona, Valentino's true identity remained shrouded in ambiguity, adding to the allure and fascination that surrounded him. While biographers like Emily Leider and Alan Ellenberger generally agree that Rudolph Valentino was likely heterosexual, rumors about his sexuality have persisted, fueled by the cultural and societal norms of his era. The 1920s were defined by rigid gender roles and conservative views on sexuality. Valentino's refined appearance, gentle demeanor, and elegant style often defied traditional expectations of masculinity, making him a focal point for speculation and criticism. These qualities, which contributed to his allure, also stirred anxieties about gender and sexuality, reflecting the era's discomfort with nonconformity and further deepening the mystery surrounding his personal life. Valentino was frequently ridiculed in the press, with some articles mockingly dubbing him the derogatory nickname Pink Powder Puff. These attacks on his image deeply affected him, leading Valentino to publicly defend his masculinity. In one infamous incident, he even challenged a journalist to a boxing match to prove his manliness. Despite this bold gesture, the event did little to quell the rumors or silence the ongoing criticism. The relentless scrutiny of his personal life and image continued, leaving Valentino to constantly battle public perception, a reflection of the societal pressures and anxieties surrounding gender and sexuality at the time. Although widely celebrated as a brilliant artist, John Gielgud lived in a time when homosexuality was illegal in England and often seen as a moral failing. Within the insular world of theater, his sexuality was an open secret, known to many. But outside this circle, he was exceptionally discreet about his personal life. This delicate balancing act allowed him to navigate a society that was frequently hostile to his truth, all while continuing to thrive in his distinguished career. Gielgud's ability to maintain his privacy while remaining a revered figure in the arts speaks to both the challenges of his time and the resilience he displayed in the face of societal pressures. This prudence couldn't protect John Gielgud from the dangers of being a gay man in that time period. In 1953, at 49 years old, he was arrested for importuning for immoral purposes, a standard charge often used to target gay men. The arrest took place in Chelsea, London, after Gielgud was caught approaching another man in a public restroom, a grim result of the repressive laws of that era. This event underscored the perilous reality faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in a society that criminalized their very identity. The scandal posed a serious threat to John Gielgud's distinguished career. News of his arrest spread rapidly, and in the conservative climate of 1950s Britain, many feared it would signal the end of his professional life. Gielgud himself was profoundly shaken by the event, with reports suggesting he considered stepping away from the stage altogether. Yet, to his surprise, both his colleagues and fans rallied around him. Rather than facing alienation, the theater world and the public extended a surprising degree of understanding and forgiveness. Gielgud pressed on with his work, and his status as a remarkable artist remained largely unscathed, a testament to both his extraordinary talent and the unwavering loyalty of those who supported him. Jack Cassidy's good looks, charm, and stage presence made him a familiar star in Hollywood and on Broadway during the 1950s and 1960s. However, his personal life was far removed from the glamorous image he projected to the public, marked by tumultuous relationships, struggles with substance abuse, and persistent rumors about his sexuality. These complexities added layers to Cassidy's enigmatic persona, contrasting sharply with the polished image he portrayed on stage and screen. Jack Cassidy's marriage to actress Shirley Jones in 1956 was one of Hollywood's most high-profile unions at the time. The couple had 3 children, including actor David Cassidy, who later rose to fame as a member of the Partridge Family, a television series in which Shirley also starred. Their family appeared to embody the ideal American household, but behind the scenes, Cassidy's personal struggles began to surface. His charm and talent were often overshadowed by inner turmoil, which would later affect both his career and family life. While still married to Shirley Jones, rumors about Jack Cassidy's sexuality began to circulate. With his undeniable charm and striking good looks, Cassidy was the subject of speculation regarding relationships with both men and women, leading to gossip that he might be bisexual. These whispers were particularly prevalent in Hollywood circles, where his rumored connections with men, though never openly acknowledged, became a frequent topic of conversation among colleagues. This speculation only added to the mystery surrounding Cassidy's personal life, creating a sharp contrast with the public image of the perfect family man he worked hard to maintain. Despite the swirling rumors, Jack Cassidy never publicly addressed them and continued to present himself as a heterosexual man to the public. He was careful to protect his private life, fearing that any disclosure could jeopardize his career. However, those who worked with him or were close to him knew of his relationships with men, which became an open secret within his inner circle. This tension between his public image and private reality added a layer of complexity to his life and legacy, revealing the contradictions between the persona he projected and the man behind it. At the same time, Jack Cassidy grappled with alcoholism, which severely impacted both his career and personal life. Reports of erratic behavior and growing personal turmoil became more frequent as his struggles deepened. The combination of substance abuse and the strain of maintaining a double life seemed to accelerate his decline, both personally and professionally. His marriage to Shirley Jones, once one of Hollywood's most admired unions, became increasingly strained and eventually ended in divorce in 1975, after nearly 20 years together. This marked a pivotal moment in Cassidy's life, as the challenges he faced only seemed to intensify from there. Jack Cassidy's personal life and career continued to spiral, and by the time of his death in 1976, he had become a tragic figure in Hollywood. At the age of 49, Cassidy was found dead in a fire in a Los Angeles apartment under mysterious circumstances. While some believed the fire to be an accident, others speculated that his ongoing struggles with alcoholism and deteriorating mental health may have contributed to the tragedy. His untimely death added a darker chapter to his legacy, leaving behind a career defined by remarkable talent but overshadowed by personal demons and unresolved questions. Cesar Romero's bachelor status and his reluctance to marry became a key part of his public image. Though he was romantically linked to several famous women, including Joan Crawford and Carmen Miranda, his relationships were often portrayed more as friendships than passionate love affairs. The press, always keen to weave stories about Hollywood's most eligible bachelors, frequently speculated about his love life. Romero played into these narratives, using his natural charm and wit to sidestep direct questions about marriage. Behind the scenes, however, rumors persisted that Romero was gay. While he never publicly addressed his sexual orientation, likely due to the conservative climate of mid-20th century America, many within Hollywood believed the rumors were true. His ability to remain discreet allowed him to navigate a complex social environment while preserving his successful career and well-loved public persona. Cesar Romero's ability to maintain discretion about his private life during an era when stars were under constant public scrutiny was a testament to both his caution and the loyalty of those around him. Unlike many of his peers, he managed to avoid the scandals or intrusive tabloid stories that could have threatened his career. His refusal to openly discuss his personal life never harmed his standing in Hollywood. In fact, his warm personality, sharp wit, and commitment to his craft only endeared him to colleagues and fans alike. Romero often made light of his bachelor status, famously quipping, "I've never married because I like steak, and I like it cooked my way. These humorous remarks reinforced his image as a man happily embracing his independence. His charm and playful approach to such topics allowed him to remain a beloved figure in Hollywood, skillfully deflecting the pressures of public curiosity. Liberace's public persona was carefully curated to resonate with mainstream audiences during a time when being openly gay was not only stigmatized, but could also destroy a career. He worked tirelessly to craft the image of a heterosexual man, often engaging with the press and his fans in ways that reinforced this narrative, including frequent discussions about his admiration for women. He even contributed to articles like "Mature Women Are Best," television's top pianist reveals the kind of woman he'd like to marry, where he outlined his ideal standards for a future wife. These calculated statements helped solidify his carefully constructed image and ensured that he maintained his popularity as a beloved family entertainer, all while keeping his true identity hidden. However, Liberace's private life painted a very different picture. He had romantic relationships with men, most notably with his longtime partner, Scott Thorson. Thorson, who was 40 years younger than Liberace, entered his life in the late 1970s and became not only his lover, but also a significant part of his public image. The two appeared together frequently at events and on tours, presenting a united front to the public. Yet their relationship was far from smooth, and it eventually ended in a highly publicized lawsuit. Thorson sued Liberace for emotional and financial support, a case that attracted widespread media attention and thrust Liberace's private life into the spotlight. Despite his efforts to maintain a carefully crafted public persona, the lawsuit revealed facets of his personal life he had worked tirelessly to keep concealed. Despite intense media scrutiny, Liberace firmly denied being gay, dismissing rumors as baseless attacks from tabloids. His denial was not just a personal choice, but also a reflection of the societal pressures of the time. In the deeply conservative entertainment industry of the mid-20th century, admitting to being gay was virtually unthinkable, particularly for someone like Liberace, whose success relied heavily on the adoration of middle-class American audiences. Instead, Liberace used lawsuits and public statements to protect his image. In a high-profile 1959 case, he successfully sued the British tabloid Daily Mirror for suggesting he was gay, later quipping, "I cried all the way to the bank." This legal victory showcased his determination to preserve his meticulously crafted public persona while navigating the complexities of living as a closeted gay man in an era marked by judgment and prejudice. Despite his public denials, Liberace's sexuality was considered an open secret within Hollywood circles. His flamboyant style, dramatic sense of humor, and close relationships with men fueled ongoing speculation. Yet his extraordinary talent and magnetic charisma often overshadowed the rumors. Fans loved him not just for his musical genius, but also for his unabashed embrace of extravagance and theatricality, which helped redefine entertainment. Liberace's ability to captivate audiences with his larger-than-life persona ensured his lasting popularity, even as whispers about his private life continued to linger in the background. As a gay man in an era when homosexuality was heavily stigmatized, particularly in the entertainment industry, James Mitchell chose to keep his sexuality private. While he never publicly acknowledged it, his relationship with costume designer Albert Wolski was one of the longest and most respected love stories in Hollywood. Wolski, renowned for his work on films like All That Jazz and The Verdict, was a celebrated figure in costume design, and his partnership with Mitchell lasted 39 years. Their enduring bond served as a quiet yet powerful testament to their love and commitment, thriving in a time when such relationships were often forced into the shadows. James Mitchell and Albert Wolski met in the early 1960s, and although their relationship was never publicly acknowledged, it became a central and enduring part of Mitchell's life. While Mitchell kept his sexuality private throughout his career, those who worked closely with him on set or were his friends knew about the partnership. Colleagues and friends remembered Mitchell as a warm, generous person, profoundly dedicated to his craft and fiercely loyal to those he loved. His relationship with Wolski, though never in the spotlight, was a quiet yet significant part of his life, reflecting the depth of his character and the values he cherished. James Mitchell's decision to keep his personal life private was not unusual for a time when being openly gay in Hollywood or on television could severely impact one's career. For many actors like Mitchell, the social climate of the era necessitated discretion to protect their professional prospects, as coming out was often seen as an obstacle to securing leading or romantic roles, particularly in mainstream productions. Mitchell's choice to remain silent about his personal life was not born out of shame, but out of a desire to navigate the constraints of the time. His silence reflected the broader societal reluctance to accept LGBTQ+ identities in the public sphere. By maintaining his privacy, Mitchell was able to adapt to the demands of his era, preserving both his integrity and his relationships while balancing personal authenticity with the pressures of professional ambition in a restrictive environment. In the mid-20th century, actors who were perceived as supportive of the LGBTQ+ community often had to keep their personal lives under wraps. Roddy McDowall, for instance, never married, and although he never publicly addressed his sexuality, it was something widely known within Hollywood circles. His strong relationships with LGBTQ+ individuals were often viewed as an open secret. While many of his friends and colleagues in the industry were aware of McDowall's sexual orientation, he opted to keep his personal life private, wary of the potential backlash and scrutiny that could come with being openly gay at the time. One of the most striking aspects of Roddy McDowall's personal life was his enduring and deep friendships with figures in the LGBTQ+ community, including icons like Elizabeth Taylor and Montgomery Clift, both of whom were known for keeping their personal lives private and navigating their own complex relationships with identity. McDowall's professionalism, coupled with his warm and compassionate nature, earned him widespread respect and admiration from colleagues and friends alike. Those who knew him often highlighted his charm, intelligence, and genuine sincerity, qualities he brought both to his performances and to his personal interactions. Geer's life was far more intricate and layered than the beloved characters he played on screen. Off-camera, Geer was a dynamic individual, an actor, an activist, and someone whose personal life challenged the social norms of his time. His relationships, political activism, and the quiet courage he displayed in navigating a world that was often unwelcoming to his truths all played a role in shaping his lasting legacy. Geer's ability to live authentically in the face of adversity made him not only a remarkable performer, but also a trailblazer whose impact extends far beyond Hollywood. In the 1930s, Geer was romantically involved with Harry Hay, who would go on to become a groundbreaking figure in the gay rights movement. Hay, the co-founder of the Mattachine Society, devoted his life to fighting for the rights and visibility of the LGBTQ+ community. Their relationship was not just one of affection, but also a deep connection grounded in shared values and a mutual commitment to social justice and activism. Both men were ahead of their time in their dedication to challenging societal norms and advocating for equality. However, the societal pressures of the time, along with Will Geer's desire to have a traditional family, eventually led to the end of his relationship with Harry Hay. Geer later married actress and activist Herta Ware, and together they built a life centered around progressive ideals and a shared passion for the arts. Their marriage, which brought them 3 children, lasted until their divorce in 1954. Despite their separation, Geer and Ware remained close, with Ware always understanding and supportive of Geer's sexual orientation. Her compassion and unwavering support provided him with a rare sense of acceptance in an era marked by judgment, showcasing the lasting strength of their bond and the unique space of understanding they created for each other. Will Geer's activism went far beyond his personal life, influencing both his public work and career. He was an outspoken member of the Communist Party during a time when such affiliations were dangerous, especially within the entertainment industry. His political commitment was rooted in a deep belief in equality and social justice, and he used his platform to champion causes like workers' rights, civil rights, and progressive social change. Geer's steadfast dedication to these ideals highlighted his bravery and resolve as he continued to fight for a more just and equitable world despite the personal and professional risks he faced. His willingness to stand up for his convictions, even in the face of adversity, cemented his legacy as both an artist and an activist. During a time when gender roles and sexual norms were strictly defined, Tony Randall's love for opera, theater, and fine dining, along with his refusal to conform to the traditionally masculine image often expected of male stars, led some to speculate about his sexuality. Randall was also a vocal supporter of the arts and a frequent guest on talk shows, where his sharp wit and uninhibited humor frequently took center stage. Despite the persistent rumors, Randall was married to his first wife, Florence Gibbs, for 50 years until her death in 1992. The couple, who had met when Randall was just 19, shared a deep and lasting connection. Florence's passing marked a profound turning point in Randall's life, both personally and publicly, as he navigated life without his lifelong partner while also facing a changing landscape of personal relationships and increasing public scrutiny. In 1995, Tony Randall shocked many by remarrying, this time to Heather Harlan, a woman 50 years his junior. The marriage, which defied societal expectations, drew significant criticism and raised eyebrows across the public. Despite the controversy, it resulted in the birth of 2 children, Julia and Jefferson. Randall's second marriage not only surprised the public, but also shifted perceptions of him at a time when many had assumed he would spend his later years as a widower. This unexpected chapter in his life became a symbol of resilience and the possibility of new beginnings, even in later years. In interviews, Tony Randall dismissed doubts about his relationship with Heather, focusing instead on their love and happiness. Yet rumors about his sexual orientation continued to circulate throughout his career. These whispers were often rooted in stereotypes, reflecting society's tendency to associate certain traits or behaviors with specific sexual identities. Randall addressed these speculations directly over the years, frequently using humor to deflect intrusive questions. He once quipped, "I don't understand why people are so interested in my private life. It's called private for a reason." His refusal to be confined by societal expectations, along with his commitment to living authentically on his own terms, made him both an admirable and intriguing figure, one who refused to be reduced to labels or assumptions. Although Paul Lynde never publicly disclosed his sexual orientation, his personal life was widely speculated upon. He lived in an era when strict societal expectations around masculinity and gender expression prevailed, and his flamboyant, often effeminate demeanor only added fuel to the rumors about his sexuality. However, instead of coming out, Lynde chose to keep his private life closely guarded, a decision likely shaped by the career risks associated with being openly LGBTQ+ in an industry that was often unforgiving to those who deviated from the heterosexual norm. His choice to remain silent reflected the constraints of the time, where being true to oneself could be a costly proposition, especially in Hollywood. Behind the scenes, Paul Lynde faced another significant challenge deeply tied to the pressure of concealing his true self: alcohol addiction. He struggled with alcoholism for much of his life, and many believe that the need to hide his identity, along with the stress of maintaining a public image that didn't align with his personal reality, contributed heavily to his substance abuse. Lynde's addiction took a toll not only on his personal life, but also on his career. Despite his immense popularity, particularly on Hollywood squares and other television appearances, his drinking led to erratic behavior, and he developed a reputation for being difficult to work with on set. The combination of his private struggles and public persona created a complex and often painful reality that affected both his relationships and professional trajectory. These challenges ultimately led to missed opportunities and personal turmoil, which stalled Paul Lynde's comedy career in his later years. While his struggles with alcohol were widely known, his sexual orientation remained a closely guarded secret throughout his life. It wasn't until his death in 1982 that more details about his personal life began to surface. At the time of his passing, Lynde was mourned as one of the most brilliant comedic talents of his generation, but there was also a deep sense of sadness in the realization that he had never fully embraced his true self, neither on screen nor in his personal life. His untold story became a poignant reminder of the toll that societal pressures can exact on an individual's authenticity and well-being. Paul Lynde's legacy is a complex narrative, defined by his extraordinary talent as a performer, but also by the painful tension between his personal identity and the public demands of Hollywood. He passed away at the age of 55 from complications related to a heart attack, leaving behind a poignant reminder of the darker side of fame. His life and career reflect the lifelong inner struggles he faced, particularly the burden of concealing his true sexual orientation. Despite his comedic brilliance, Lynde's story underscores the personal costs of living in a world where authenticity was often sacrificed for public acceptance, leaving a legacy that is as much about the pain he endured as the laughter he provided. During an era when coming out as gay could ruin a career, especially in the Hollywood of the 1960s, George Maharis chose to keep his sexual orientation a secret. At a time when stars were expected to conform to heteronormative standards, any deviation from these expectations could lead to a swift and dramatic decline in their professional lives. Like many actors of his generation, Maharis kept his personal identity private, fully aware of the risks associated with publicly acknowledging his sexuality. His decision to remain silent reflected the harsh realities of Hollywood's rigid norms, where the price of authenticity could be a steep career sacrifice. For George Maharis, this meant maintaining a heterosexual image despite the persistent rumors about his sexual orientation. However, in 1967, his carefully constructed public persona was shattered when he was arrested for lewd conduct in a public restroom in Los Angeles. The incident, which involved Maharis being caught engaging in sexual activity with another man, became a widely reported scandal in the press. At a time when homosexuality was criminalized in many states, the arrest had devastating consequences for his career. The scandal not only fueled the speculation surrounding his sexuality, but also marked the beginning of a significant professional decline, as the Hollywood industry, still steeped in conservative values, distanced itself from him. Although George Maharis never publicly admitted his sexuality, the 1967 arrest exposed the truth to the public, forcing him to face intense media scrutiny and the fallout from the scandal. The damage was immediate, and Maharis was written out of Route 66 during its third season. Officially, his departure was attributed to health issues, a convenient excuse that allowed the show to part ways with him without further scandal. The impact of the arrest and the ensuing media storm was profound. Maharis's once promising career, which had been on an upward trajectory, began to stall. At a time when homosexuality was still heavily stigmatized, the scandal not only tarnished his public image but also shut many doors to future opportunities. While he continued to work in television and film, his roles became increasingly limited, and his fame began to fade, leaving behind the shadow of what might have been. The incident was a stark reminder of how societal and industry pressures could derail a promising career, particularly for those unable or unwilling to conform to conventional norms. It's clear that for many stars of this era, their personal identities were often hidden, not out of shame but out of necessity, given the social climate and the immense pressure of public scrutiny. The careers of many actors, such as George Maharis, Paul Lynde, and others, were shaped by the demands of a world where being openly LGBTQ+ could be professionally and personally devastating. Their stories reflect the complexities of navigating fame in a time when authenticity was often sacrificed for survival in an unforgiving industry. What stands out is the resilience of these stars, how they managed to carve out space for themselves in an environment that didn't always allow for true self-expression. Whether through deflection, discretion, or in some cases later embracing their identities, they each showed different facets of strength in the face of societal expectations. These narratives shed light on how far we've come in terms of acceptance and visibility, yet also remind us of how difficult it has been, and still is, for many in the LGBTQ+ community to live authentically. What are your thoughts on how Hollywood dealt with these hidden sexual identities? Leave a comment below to share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.